never record. All right, cool. And Gary Brever's always the one who reminds me. All right, sweet. So yeah, again, this is information that's meant to be applicable towards, not only, new reps, but also experienced reps. Today I'm going to just get right into it. Let me know if you guys are able to see my screen as well once I share it. Cool. You guys got that? Yep. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Let me get this going in presentation mode. So first thing I wanted to touch on was goals. So, going into a new year, I know that there's a lot of year left. We just kind of wrapped up 2022. So it could be a bit intimidating when you look at, January all the way through December. How am I going to reach the goals that I want to? But I mean, the first thing you got to do is set them. I really like this quote. I live by it. By failing to plan, you're planning to fail. You need to make sure to have a plan in place and go ahead and execute it. When I first started with Blue Raven, it was more of, okay, I'm going to just go out and see what I can do. And then I realized that I wasn't doing anything I wanted to do. So I started writing things down. I actually wrote it on my mirror. I always wanted 10 every month. And then, let's say if I got halfway through the month, I know I needed to speed things up. And, it was also, let's say I had 7 halfway through the month. I knew it was going to be a bigger month than I thought. I was exceeding my goals. It even added a little bit of confidence to the mix. But you should really shoot for short, mid, and long-term goals. You don't want to just say, cool, I want to have 100 FTCs by the end of the year. Well, how are you going to get there? Especially when we all know the solar coaster. Generally, things start a little bit slower in the first quarter, really start picking up second, third, and fourth. Tail end of fourth, we all know holidays come around. But on a weekly basis, that's your short-term goal. Hey, I want 3 books. I want 2 FTCs this week. Great. And most of you guys are doing that in your team meeting. But being able to write them down and track them yourself, I think it's extremely important. Just having the thought of a goal, it doesn't really do anything for you. Realistically, I can think, hey, I'm going to make, $5 million this year. Yet if I don't have a plan in place, I want to do this with my money, I want to invest in this, you're never going to get there. Talk with any successful individual. I'm sure they've wrote down their goals for years and years and years and continue to do so. The midterm goal is going to be more in line with, quarterly, even monthly. And obviously long-term yearly goal. But the stay on track portion is probably the most important. If you do fall behind, and I saw that my first year, I started falling behind, and by no means did I take it as, okay, I need to readjust. You never, ever, ever readjust. I really kind of want to plant that seed in everybody's mind for 2023 within our region, that we're striving for greatness. Mediocrity is something we want to kind of kick from all branches. All boats rise together. I think that, again, if there's different individuals who are setting the bar higher in a branch, it's going to make everybody come up with them. If everybody's getting 2, 3 FTCs, a month, then that's going to become the standard. Whereas if there's individuals getting 10, 12, even above that on FTCs, it shows that it's possible. And that was something, I'll go over that a little bit more later, in the training here, but that was something that was pretty surprising to me. I thought 10 was like the most outlandish, crazy thing. Like people were telling me that you could get 10 sales in a month. And then the next month I was like, cool, I'm going to get 10. I don't think it's possible. I got like 2 my first month, but then I ended up getting 12 that month. And then ever since, now when I say I'm going to get 10, I'm going to get 10, I believe it. So, I set that as a goal for you guys, this year, whatever month, doesn't matter what month, you guys absolutely need a 10 month. It is going to change your confidence in the home. I mean, once you've been able to tell yourself, hey, I can do it. I've proven it. Again, it's just going to really kind of change your approach to, setting goals and of course, executing them. And then lastly, and I know this is all very basic stuff, but it's good for some of the newer reps. Some of the guys who have been around long enough, I mean, you've seen it within the branch, you've been doing it. So, it's something that's already kind of integrated within your schedule and, how you're selling. But don't cut yourself short when you're setting these goals. Don't say, oh, I think it's obtainable that I can do, 3, 4 a month. Yeah, of course, everybody can do that. So, instead of the 36 to 48 cut it in the middle. We'll call it 40 for the year. I mean, that's not life-changing money. That's not why any of us, started Blue Raven. I'm sure we all have our other reasons, the flexibility and schedule, obviously the belief in solar, renewables, things like that, tax credit. But at the end of the day, I think we all have a very common, reason we're here. It's money. It's that residual. It's what got me here. It's what's, making me strive to just, again, go and sell as much as I possibly can. Because every single month it adds up. It really does. So again, for those, those newer folks on the call, I mean, if the more you commit right off the bat, you're going to see it, pay out tenfold. If you wait, 6 months to really start producing, obviously it's 6 months, you're not making as much money. Whereas, if you have that residual built before, it compounds a lot quicker. So jumping back, don't cut yourself short, strive big. I mean, 80 to 100 sales should be everybody's goal. And again, there's so many people within the company doing it that, it's proof in the pudding right there. So to kind of jump into some more of the fun stuff, how we're going to do it. So I know I can talk about setting goals. I know I can talk about, we got people in the waiting room. Not sure how long they were there, but they're with us now. Cool. Welcome, guys. Yeah, I don't know how long you guys were in the waiting room. Sorry, I was finishing up a slide. So we got another one. For anybody who has shown up late, I'm not trying to dog you, but if we could all be on time, I will admit one of the biggest things as a presenter, it's very, very, very distracting having to let people in after. It kind of throws you off your thought, but again, not trying to come at you guys, but if we could be on time, I'd really appreciate it. Sweet. So emotional selling. And this, again, anytime anybody gets into solar, there's a lot of information. So it can be a bit tough. And, right off the bat, they're thinking, okay, well, I need to just spew out a bunch of facts. I need people to, start listening or, start listening and believe in me because, I've dialed in this information. No. Factual selling doesn't, it doesn't get anybody on board with your thoughts. It doesn't persuade anybody towards, buying your product. Emotional selling, however, does. So we need to realize kind of the position we're in. Realistically, it's an economic recession right now, guys. We all know it. I mean, it's not good. S is hitting the fan, if you know what I mean. So economic recession, it's equaling a time of uncertainty. So people don't feel very comfortable with what's going on. I mean, interest rates are going up, mortgage rates are going up, prices are going up. I mean, I know it's a pretty easy example, but look at eggs. I mean, I think they went up like 2.5 times. Now I get it, $1.50 versus, $3-4. It's not the end of the world. But, it does add stress to a lot of people's lives who are budgeting more than, maybe we might be. We have the ability to grow residual. We have the ability to go make more money. Some people are retired. So do be aware of that because I think it's one of the strongest selling points that we have right now. And it's because solar is the solution. So, obviously with the times, the uncertainty's there. So if we can provide a solution to them, it really makes them feel a little bit more comfortable with the conversation and the product that we're presenting. So what I do is I paint the hell out of the problem. And if you're not, because again, there's a lot of information you want to tell people right off the bat. Everybody has done it. You talk about micro inverters versus string inverters. You talk about stuff that realistically does not matter at all. And if you are still saying that, then that's my hint to just not even go into technology like that. If anything, look, there's no reason you should be stuck with a certain utility provider. And I understand certain markets are deregulated, but most on the call are one provider. So, you create a little bit of resentment towards that utility. Let them know they could double your rates tomorrow and you don't have anything to say about it. I don't think that's fair. Do you agree? And if you get them to agree that it's unfair, then it becomes their thought. So, if you're just planting thoughts, you need some sort of reciprocation on the conversation. You need them to be able to give you a little bit of feedback. That's something I do a lot is I get them engaged. I get them talking and it's more of a conversation. If you're sitting there and you start seeing people kind of nodding and dozing off, totally turn the conversation, get them talking about themselves, get them re-engaged. So, again, if they have that agreement from themselves that it is unfair, then great. It's their thought. It's not just you kind of presenting that thought to them. But, kind of going back, everybody be on mute, please.
Just hit
Timothy, mute, please. We've got quite a few people buzzing in. So yeah, again, resentment. I mean, and it's really kind of instilling emotions in them, but it's their emotions. So from there, then it becomes something they believe in. So after painting the problem, you of course need to give them a solution. So say, look, we've already covered. It's not fair what's going on. I mean, someone else is completely controlling what you pay. It's a monopoly. You know, it's not like tomorrow you could go decide who you want to get your power from, unless you own your own power source. So just a line right out of here, solar finally gives you an option that puts power back in your hands. No longer will someone else choose what you pay. Wouldn't you rather lock in your rate today than pay the outrageous prices they're going to choose for you tomorrow? And again, no one's going to say, geez, let me get this thing over here. Cool. No one's going to say no to that. I mean, everybody's going to say, no, that makes a lot of sense. And in a second here, I'll spin it a different way too. But I get the question a lot, especially now that we've had some rate increases. Lance, we're just not beating the bill with certain utility providers. Certain ones are cheaper. That's okay. That's totally fine. I sell it in Colorado. I sell in a lot of different markets when I'm traveling and doing trainings, things like that. But majority of my sales is in Colorado, and there's certain utilities where we don't beat the bill. Yet I have a lot of FDCs, and it's because I do more of an emotional selling approach within those homes. I let them know it's not sustainable. I mean, right now it might be a little bit cheaper, but at the end of the day, things will go up. And that's painting the problem again. If you talk about utilities, mostly going off of coal and natural gas and just outdated resources. And it's like, well, those are only going to get more expensive. Coal mines are getting shut down. Natural gas is through the freaking roof. So it's like, do you really want your power to be coming from a utility that's getting their resources at a higher amount? No. Instead, why wouldn't you put it on your roof? You have perfect space for it. You're getting a lot of exposure. And now there's, of course, an investment opportunity as well. So you're going to make money, or you're going to, obviously build a little bit of equity with the same dollar that you would have been putting towards a utility otherwise. And this is one I've talked about a lot. It's the gas station analogy. Everybody who's been on a couple of these calls has probably heard it, but here's another spin to it. So, it's like X amount of years I come to you and I say, look, $1 a gallon, if you swipe this card at any gas station for the next 25 years, I'll get you at $1 a gallon. But then after 25 years, you just swipe it for free. I mean, that's what your solar is doing. And for whatever reason, solar can be a little bit of like a crazy abstract idea, but then everybody's paid for gas for a lot of time, or for a lot of years. And a lot of them were buying gas at $1 a gallon. So now instead, let me throw this idea, and this is applicable to when the bill is a little bit higher. So let's say I went back to you when when gas is $1 a gallon, and I said, hey, I know it sounds a little crazy, but for $1.10 a gallon, I'll lock it in for the next 25 years, and then you get gas for free. How many people would have said no? Most people. I'm like, you're nuts. Like, why would I pay more for gas? And then now those same people are kicking themselves in the ass because they're seeing what gas prices have done, over the last year. So, it's same here. It's like, look, I know your utility might be a tad bit expensive, but the benefit is I can lock you in at a rate today. I mean, it's still at 3.49%, which is extremely competitive against a HELOC, which is at 8% now. So, it's like, look, I can still lock you in at that same, $1.10 a gallon, but, down the road when PVREA, United, whatever utility it is, ComEd, Dominion, Duke, when they're double, triple the rate, you're still down here and they're up here. And that's when you start saving the money. So it gets them a little bit more open to the idea. No one is going to deny it because everybody is seeing what inflation has been doing and running rampant. So that kind of goes off the idea of emotional selling. Again, if you can shift from that factual setting to more of an emotional setting, you're going to see people buy in. You're going to see an increased interest in your product. And, again, the overall belief. So moving on, wanted to go over efficiency versus volume. So before you go crazy and read through, I'd like to have you guys listen first. Because I know if you're anything like me, I'm just like, on to the next points. Cool, next slide, I got it. But these are more just bullet points for me to remind myself on what I want to talk about. So reps are actually most efficient at Blue Raven when they are taking less than 10 appointments. And I believe the number is actually 7. So the reason I did 10 is obviously we have the 10 pitch rule. Now I will follow that up very, very quickly and say, don't take less appointments. Don't block your calendar once you got 7 or 10 appointments. No, take as many appointments as you can. But the one thing I wanted to focus on is because at 7 appointments, they have less in their pipeline, they generally follow up more and they become more efficient. So volume does not necessarily mean, you're going to get a bunch of sales because you're a little more busy. You're not following up or you're not following up as much. So what I want to do is also shift a mindset from, a volume heavy, company and region to more of an efficient company and region. So, if you focus on your pipelines and make sure to follow up, I guarantee you will find deals just sitting there. And it's people like I do pipeline management all the time. I sent out probably 40 texts yesterday. I've got 3 appointments out of it. And we all know follow-up appointments are better than just first-time appointments. So if your fear is, I don't want to waste, a spot on my calendar because, I've already met with them. They'll email me, they'll text me, they'll call me if they want to go. No, they won't. No, they won't. Everybody's got a million things going on just as we do. So, kind of going off that point here, if we have low efficiency and high volume, we're talking low conversion. If we have high efficiency and high volume, that's where we make sales. So, throughout 2023, I do it weekly. On Monday, I follow up with the previous week's leads. And then at the end of the month, I always follow up with the previous month, end of quarter, previous quarter. It's just a really, really good habit to get into and block a day. I mean, if it's at the end of the quarter and you have, 100 plus different individuals you got to reach out to, block the day. Because again, the 3 appointments that I just got followed up or that I scheduled follow-ups with from yesterday, I guarantee I'll book 2, if not 3 out of the 3. Whereas instead, if I left my calendar open, hey, I might have had a no-show, I might have had a quote shopper, and then, maybe got 1 of the 3. So, again, really focus on your guys' pipeline. I guarantee you there's a ton of money just sitting there. And this is something I did not do at all when I started with Blue Raven. I had leads coming in, and a lot of the markets are that way. We've got a lot of leads. That's great. But at the end of the day, if you're leaving a lot of money on the table, you're doing yourself a disservice. So, kind of leading me into that next point is track your efficiency. And actually, I'm going to go back one before I go here. Whoa, I just skipped a lot. Sweet. So tracking your efficiency, you guys need to be tuning into Albatross. It's going to be one of your biggest tools. Like for me before, it was just, how many FTCs do I have on the month? Now, I mean, it's a really, really cool tool to be able to go back and see your entire pipeline, see different contacts, et cetera. I also just go on my phone. I just go through my schedule and I go day by day by day and just click on the account. I think Albatross on the app version is also really, really great. But then, again, it's a bit easier to go through, figure out what deals need to be touched up on. So this is a random rep that I pulled from yesterday. So obviously everybody knows this screen. I wanted to go over booking percentage and pull through and the expectations that I have for you guys. Second, I've got to admit him. Cool. So I'm sure most of us are enough, math savvy that we can do this, but I get math is a bit tough for some folks. So I at least wanted to cover it. So booking percentage is simply taking your books and dividing it by your pitches. So the reason why this is outlined as green is because it's above 30%. The expectation within this region is to be booking above 30%. And I know a lot of you guys are asking or kind of thinking to yourselves, well, we only need to book 1 out of 10 to stay on leads. We're not sitting here for, complacency. We're not interested in complacency. What we want to do is we want to exceed and obviously grow as a region, as a company, and obviously make you guys a lot of money. So the quickest way to make a lot of money is you guys should be closing at least 30%. So you should start tracking this. If you are below that, start pushing. A lot of people think that, they're going to present this awesome product and, they think it's the best thing on earth, which I truly believe. I think solar is great. But people aren't going to offer you the sale. I mean, that's just not how I've been in sales for quite some time. Ever since I was like 16 or 17. So, that was the first thing that I really needed to realize is like, you need to tell them that you're taking the sale. Because again, they're not going to say, hey man, great. What's the next step? I mean, I'm sure some of us have heard it at the laydowns, but man, that is rare. That's rare. What's the next step? This is awesome. No, you always get, okay, well, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to think about it. Can you just email this over, right? Am I gonna get a copy of this? Well, yeah, no, absolutely. But what we're gonna do is set up a site survey, and then it's gonna give you time to look at everything. And then when I come back and follow up with the final design, that's when we'll look for more of a yes or no. And then again, you're presenting what the plan is. You're gonna show them the timeline. This is what we're doing next. Execute. So start pushing for the booking. And I will say, because I know a lot of people are starting to ask themselves, well, how do I book? How are you booking at 30? How do you book at 30+%? So I'm actually going to be doing in 2 weeks my booking and pull through. So after this page, I'll show you what my stats look like for the last 90 days. This is again just a random rep for the last 90 days. So the reason why the pull through percentage down here is red is because I actually want everybody pulling through at 70%, which is probably less than 10% of the region. So if you're anything like me at this point, I would be like, well, put your money where your mouth is. What do your stats look like? I don't show these to brag, but this is over the last 90 days, booking at 35% and pull through at 81. So what I do is if I find buying signs, and I've gotten to the point where I choose who I work with. I'm not gonna, if there's an individual who I see probably 0% of them actually going solar. I mean, generally I can talk them into setting up a site survey. However, then it's just going to cloud my pipeline. It's not, it's a deal that I probably shouldn't have to have dealt with and put time towards anyways. So, 35% generally, I like to book more towards 40. So I will even kick myself in the butt for that one. But 21 out of 60 puts me at 35%. And then the 17 out of 21 is at 81. By end of day, that will be 18 and it'll be 86. But again, I want to show these numbers because there would be no confidence in what I'm saying if I didn't, at least present what the numbers look like. And that means over the last, 3 months, it's about an average of 5.6 deals a month. And I sell generally about 2 weeks out of the month. So again, only presenting this as proof that there's individuals hitting 10. Gary Brever next week, guy's an animal, got 22 in February last year. There's individuals who are throwing up some seriously big numbers. And this is what I needed to hear when I first started, because when I heard people were getting 10, oh yeah, I never saw it. So, having Gary come on and be able to show, what he's doing as well as, my process too. Again, it's meant to only instill confidence. So, that's kind of where I want everybody to be at, above 30% on booking and well over 70% on pull through. And as of, in 2 weeks, you'll have all my secrets. I'll go through exactly how I set up the booking, how I push, towards a little bit higher of a percentage. And, I'll touch on pull through and because it was actually my second month with the company or third month. I hit, I hit 22 books and 3 FDCs. And then I reevaluated, I figured out exactly what I needed to do, start pulling through, and I increased that percentage to where I've sat since. So, my whole goal is I want to be able to streamline you guys through some of the struggles that I had and, get you on to the next page there. Cool. So final thoughts, keep yourself accountable throughout this year. Focus on your goals, make sure they're written out. If you guys are, starting to fall behind your goals, don't take it as okay, cool. I gotta figure out a new goal, instead of the 80 that I wanted this year, we'll shoot for 65, 60, complacency. We want to kick that to the curb, as quickly as we possibly can, if there is any. And don't let it creep in if you're feeling motivated and don't see it now. So as I've talked about, you got to memorize the facts. So, if you're new and you're just going through a boot camp, don't take it as, okay, cool. So I don't need to know how financing works. I don't need to know how the technology works. You're going to get those questions. You're going to run into the engineers, you're going to run into the accountants. So it's absolutely crucial, everything there. But at the end of the day, there's some different tactics, again, through more of an emotional standpoint that you can get people to believe and, pull through at a higher rate. Close. It's one of the points I talked about. We can't sit there and wait for them to offer the sale to us. We need to ask for it. And that's something you'll see throughout my booking process in a couple of weeks on how I do it. But yeah, make sure you're pushing. If you're not at that 3 out of 10, really start making sure that you're expressing the need for a site survey. And that's kind of a shift in mindset that we all need to, kind of approach a site survey with. Site surveys are not like, it's not the sale. And, when I first came in, I thought that was asking for the sale. Site surveys are absolutely necessary. We've all had re-roofs get called out. We've all had MPUs get called out, structural issues. You run into problems. So if I'm going to be completely honest with a customer, like, look, looks like you're excited. I don't know if I can do this project yet. I absolutely need to get someone out here before I waste any more of your time and my time. So what I'll do is I'll set up a follow-up. If anything changes, of course, we let you know, but at least we'll have a final design for us to look over. Does that sound fair? Would you be available Tuesday or Wednesday for that site survey? Close. So, talking about the pipeline and everything there, follow up with your 2022 customers. Again, block out a whole day and go through your whole pipeline. It's going to take hours. Well, of course, kind of depends on how long you've been with the company, but for those who were here the whole year, it'll take some time. But I guarantee you at least 2 or 3 FDCs out of it minimum, and probably more. So it'll be well worth the time than, that same day, maybe going out and taking some appointments, seeing some no-shows, things like that. But here's like a quick text that I usually throw out to people. Hey, Carrie, this is Lance the Blue Raven. Met last year in July and discussed the project for your home. Good news, 30% tax credit was extended. Is there still interest in the project? Be direct. Just ask is there interest. You're going to get a lot of no's. Cool. Delete the message. Awesome. On to the next one. So don't take it as if you send out 100, you're going to get 50, or probably 30 people not answering, 40 people saying no, 20 people saying, oh yeah, block, stop. They'll just say stop, like as if you're a robot. And then you'll get 10 people, yeah, we're kind of interested in looking back into it. Because a lot of people do have other projects. Yeah, we're doing the windows right now. We're probably going to look back into solar in the spring. Time to hit them up. So there's some tips, guys. Schedule next week. Gary Brever is going to be running it. He's got some good stuff. And then the week after, as mentioned, I'm going to be doing my booking process and pull through. So definitely be on that one. Again, this is kind of a, getting things rolling again. Wanted to go over some lighter stuff this first day, but, just please take some stuff away on the, the emotional selling aspect, setting goals, and, don't take, 30 seconds to do it. Sit down and really think about it. What do you want? I'm a car guy. I want cars. I want toys, things like that. So like that's my approach. I want, properties. I want different things. If you want to be able to take your kids to Disneyland, whatever it is, make sure and I always put it as a screensaver. So right now it's a beach because I just got back from Hawaii and I want to go to a beach again already. But yeah, make sure you're really pushing for your goals, guys. Other than that, I usually like to open it up for kind of a Q&A thing for a little bit. So I will let you guys, if there is anybody who's, got some questions, then feel free to give it a go. And if not, easy. All right, cool. Well, sweet. I appreciate you guys getting on. Again, next week, Gary Brever will be on here. The week after, I'm going to be going completely through my booking and pull through training. So definitely be on next week. Gary's got some good stuff. And then the week after, if you want to see how I, get to the pull through and booking percentages, I'll basically lay out all the secrets for you. So that is all I got. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good day.
Thanks, man.
Sell some
Have a good day,
solar.
Lance.
Thanks, Lance.
Thank you.
Take care, Lance.
See ya.
Appreciate it.